Today, guys, for the first time, I just want to gist. I want a light-hearted conversation, and I want us to understand what is Doris Ogala's problem, because at this point it is looking like it is more than we thought. And I don't want this to be in a very serious, oh, she has a mental health issue. No. I just want us to understand, because Doris is beginning to act like a child that requires serious spanking. I'm saying this because Doris released an audio yesterday, and in that audio, she didn't call anybody's name in terms of what she tagged the audio as. She simply said, I guess you know your papas, as in papas in the Lord. That was supposed to be an evidence, and for a while, Doris has been posting a lot of things. I ignore most of the things she posts because I think this is a woman who is going through her own ish, and I don't want to even look at everything she's doing except it's significant. So this one for me is significant because I recognized some voices in that audio. I'm not going to be calling names because she didn't call names, so we don't want to get into that mess. But still, I'm just tired of Doris at this point. I think this is embarrassing, especially because she's a celebrity. You don't just come online, you release audios, release statements, you're stirring conversations, and then you are expecting pity, or you're expecting the court of public opinion to give you the justice you're looking for. I don't understand. Doris says she's come out to expose fake pastors. That's the mission that God gave her. But I'm going to challenge that thing she said. But first of all, let's look at the audio. Okay, let's not just wave away this audio, because this audio is very significant. You guys really need to listen to what was being said in this specific audio. If you recognize voices, fine. If you don't, I think you still catch up with the story. But let's just go forward and listen to this audio first. Then we'll be back to ask Doris some very critical questions.
He said, where is bad is where there is no news at all. So now, that being said, what this thing does, people will follow you and monitor you, and some people will eventually come. That's how our God makes things for himself. But at this point in time, God has given us this platform to kill this thing. Why will he kill her? Make we want our evidence. As we don't want our evidence, both record and this thing from this girl, and she's going to grant more. So when she don't grant them, when we don't get all this thing, why this boy is saying we need if we can give him anything, we will change the narrative. Make we apply things from two fronts. From number one, we get evidence. If they talk tomorrow, we will release them. Are you getting me? If you not do what you will agree. Then this one, since it's like to talk about money, let me give and make it remove our name for a month, once and for all. Then this guy, I cannot come out, not you on your behalf. I can come out openly. I'll come out with a face, end the matter. We can say, okay, now I'm renting a house for this girl on behalf of my friend. We are saying the truth, but because my friend is a forgiving person, we forgive her. We wanted the world to know the truth, not that anybody is intimidating her, because the narrative in social media is that they are intimidating her and the rest. So by the time we do that, this thing will just die a natural death. If you come out and the friends say this one, they don't write out.
Alright, now that we've heard the full audio, let's just pause for a second and think about the audio. Let's just say a little bit of things about this audio before we move straight to Doris, because I don't want to concentrate on this audio. We've had enough of this already. Our sensories have been overflogged with this issue. But when you look at what is being said, and we are sticking strictly to papas in the Lord, the way Doris put it, but let's look at the conversation itself, the words, the tone, the planning without pointing fingers. First thing you notice is how calm it is. In this audio, nobody's raising their voice, nobody's panicking, and yet, listen to what is being said. There's a level of planning and strategy here that makes you stop and think. Phrases like kill this thing, change the narrative, use evidence, make her remove her name, this thing will die naturally. Pause for a second and just imagine how deliberate that is. Calm, yes, but very, very precise. Every sentence feels measured, and that's exactly what makes it unnerving, because this is not something that is spontaneous or emotional. This is something that is well planned, well structured, and well coordinated. In all this, I think they are referring to a very particular popular case of a missing child that went viral and was recently resurfaced by Doris. So I think that was what this planning and everything is all about. We're not going to be calling any names, but just imagine the weight of these words. The weight of these words is heavy. It's not just casual discussion. This is a discussion that is coming from people of authority, and not just people of mere authority, but spiritual authority. So what kind of conversation are they having? What kind of thing are they discussing that would require the use of this word? Is this show business? Like, is this a business where you plan, you plot, and you do things to ensure that your business doesn't collapse? Or is this still about spiritual building, getting closer to God, preaching about righteousness? I don't get it. This conversation doesn't feel spiritual. It doesn't feel like a conversation that should be coming from people who should be tagged men of God. I'm not making any accusations. I'm just pointing out what's happening. If this audio is authentic, the kind of deliberate planning, the tone, the control, it speaks volume by itself. You can hear the strategy, and that's all it takes for you to start asking very critical questions. But that's just that about that. Let's go down to Doris. Doris is losing it. Doris is totally losing it. We are here sitting and watching a grown woman lose everything. She's losing herself. For one thing, Doris has not even made her hair. Have you seen Doris's hair? Doris has not even looked at herself in a mirror for a long time. The best way, I think, to bounce back from a situation like this is, to look good, feel good about yourself, not to just hold yourself up in the house for a very long time. But in as much as I want to feel sad for Doris, sometimes, I also have very critical questions to ask Doris, because all these her tears, if you go through her page on Facebook, Doris is always crying and crying. She comes every now and then and she's crying and reliving memories of what happened. But Doris, these things happened a while back. In fact, you and Chris have already broken up for some time before the marriage announcement. All these outbursts that has now become something that is like a series, guys. It's like a series, though. What do they call all those Indian series? Those very long series that we used to watch far back those days, that would even on the generator and be watching for hours. Series know the end on Z World. That's just the way these her stories becoming now. Every day new things. We just have to start giving this as story part 1, part 2, because that's what it's beginning to give you. That's the vibe it's beginning to give. But Doris, let's get serious. Why now? You made mention that this guy eyed your brother. You still want to marry this guy that you said eyed your brother. You want to marry this guy that you said buried things in his altar? Because before you started saying all these things you were saying, you said Chris Okafor must marry you. You were very serious about it. You wanted him to marry you. All this, your heartbreak that you're reliving, came because he married Pearl. He chose her over you. And then you started saying all these things that you're saying. So at that point, I want to ask you a very critical question. Why were you comfortable marrying a person you said by your brother? Why were you comfortable marrying a person you said was doing all this evil in the background? Why were you comfortable marrying a person you said hurt you? How many times? What did you even say he did to you? Now, why were you still comfortable? You wanted to marry him. Everything started coming out because he refused to marry you. And then he chose another lady. You still wanted to marry this guy that was deceiving people, collecting money, as you said. Why did you keep quiet for this long? You're just like an accomplice now, because you kept quiet all this while that everything was good until he married Pearl. That was just the breaking point for you. If you had come out on a normal day without Pastor Chris getting married or moving on, then I would say, this is genuine, this is right. But you didn't. And you keep giving me reasons to ask you questions, because Doris is enough. You need to get into your house and put yourself together. Yes, you lost a lot from your stories. You can fight your case in court. I don't have anything against that. And maybe get the justice that you seek. Why not let the process go on normally? Why are you letting this guy see you cry? You are looking haggard. You're looking older. You're looking frustrated. That man would just be in one part of his room. Yes, he's in trouble and he might be having, these thoughts of how to resolve his issues. But in one part of his room, he's going to be laughing at you because look at what you turned yourself into because of a man. Just imagine what you turned yourself into, Doris. Into a laughing stock. Into what children play with. Your name is trending for all the wrong reasons. You're not taking up acting roles. You're not even taking of your reputation or your celebrity status or your acting career. You are burning everything in a bid to get back to a man who is married and probably in his home with his wife, eating her meal, having a good time with her. Is the best comeback for you to look good, travel, probably relocate? You keep saying nobody's going to marry you. Relocate to one Asian country or one foreign country. You're going to see foreigners who would even worship you. You're going to see foreigners who would marry you. What do Oyibo care about all this? And you have some evil backstory behind you or stuff like that. They don't care about this kind of stuff. You would always meet people that would marry you. So why are you letting one breakup that you left a sweet, handsome man for to totally destroy you to the point that you're looking like a mad woman? You need to look so good that he'll be like, oh, this girl is still so hot too. Maybe I missed out on something. This girl that loved me, she's looking hot, she's looking sweet. Maybe I missed something. But no, instead of you to display confidence, display that you've moved on, play it out for him to see. You're here crying every day. See, for the part of treating his fuck up, I want you to treat his fuck up honestly, especially if the allegations are true. Mess him up in court. You have hardcore evidences. We are seeing that. Take that in court and treat his fuck up very well in court, if that is what you want to do. Not because the court is going to maybe award you something, but because maybe it's going to be embarrassing to his name, because at the end of the day, maybe the court findings will be published. So just treat his fuck up in court. Or look for other means, not you coming to cry. There are other means that you can make these evidences available. And maybe they cannot, trace it back to you. I don't know. Just put Ghana pepper in his eyes or Cameroon pepper. Whichever one you want to do, just do it. But do not look like a mess because you lost a relationship. You don't have to do that. And then somehow I can understand what is going on here. I can understand why Doris is frustrated. I can understand somehow the tears, the crying and all that. But it's still time to clean up your act no matter what. There's something that Doris is going through that I understand, because in as much as, yeah, we have had our gist, I just wanted to rant without being too polished or being too careful. I just wanted to let it out because Doris is getting on my last nerves. But still, there's something she's going through, which is called the stages of grief. I've treated that on this channel before, because no matter how we want to be lighthearted, we have to snip in a bit of psychology, because this is what we do here. So Doris is going through what we call the stages of grief. I've treated this before, but in relation to Judy Austin. So I think Doris needs this more, honestly, because when you look very critically at Doris, you begin to see that her biggest enemy right now is her own mind. The thoughts that creeps into her mind every day, and until she figures that out, she's going to keep putting herself out there publicly, and honestly, it's very, very embarrassing for her. As I said, Doris is going through the stages of grief, and we know them. There is denial, there is anger, there is bargaining, there is depression, and then there is finally acceptance. Doris has been unable to get to that stage of acceptance. She's gone through the other 4 stages from what we see publicly. Denial, when we saw that her first video, she was like, Chris, where are you living before? Chris, you cannot do this. So she was probably living in denial at that period, that this is not happening, She was still getting used to the idea. And then we saw the anger, the outburst, where she was angry, where she began saying a lot of things, exposing Chris. Then we saw the periods of bargaining, she's becoming more spiritual. She's beginning to connect with some higher power, maybe feeling that if she becomes more spiritual and righteous, that higher power is going to help her navigate the situation. She's kind of bargaining, tit for tat, stuff like that. And then we saw the periods of depression, which she's still going through. I'm not saying she's still going through it as a fact. Please, let's not frame this as a fact. Let's frame it as a possibility. So, those periods when you go through her Facebook and she's crying, she's just crying so bitterly. She's probably depressed at that point. She's feeling it. And because the stages of grief are not linear, if you want to understand the stages of grief better, maybe you can scroll back to one of the videos I made about Judy Austin and her stages of grief. Then you would see and understand what we're talking about better. But the stages of grief, they are not linear. You can bounce from one stage to another. You can move from denial to anger, and then you jump to depression, and sometimes you move from depression back to denial. You keep moving through these stages, but not in a linear manner, and it takes a very long time before a person can come to the stage of acceptance. And until Doris comes to that stage, she's not going to heal. She needs to accept that this has happened. She needs to accept that this is my life now, and I need to navigate this even while this has happened. And staying off social media for a while is going to help her, because when you come on social media, you keep seeing the same man that broke your heart. He's moving on with his life like nothing happened. It tends to break you down and take you back through the stages of grief that you don't want to go through. So guys, that's just about it. I just wanted to rant, and I did. And I still snipped in some bit of psychology because I can understand her perspective and what she's going through right now. But the rest of everything that is left to do is left for you guys. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't you think it is high time that Doris shuts up, moves on with her life, dresses good and looks good? Or do you think this thing she's doing is the right thing? I know a lot of people will still argue that it's good that she's exposing them. I'm not against that. Please, I'm not against that. I just think she doesn't need to lose herself in the process. If she even wants to post her evidence online, fine. But look good, smell nice, make your hair be beautiful while at it. Okay? Don't lose yourself to a man who is not worth it.